It's such a pleasure to be back here, nearly after 2 decades of being at Urban Ventures. And before I dive, a little bit more serious into my story, I want to tell you guys a quick story. So I've talked with some of you, and some of you may have noticed that I actually chipped one of my front 2 teeth. And it actually happened here at Urban Ventures, right next to that bus. And so this place used to be a skate ramp, and I thought, as an elementary student, with all my wisdom that it would be smart for me to run up this ramp. And so I did it, and then I, unfortunately fell flat on my tooth, and I chipped it. And so for the rest of my life, I will have a tangible memory of Urban Ventures. But I want to share you guys a quick story about who I am and my involvement with Urban Ventures. And so when I was in 7th grade, my parents actually divorced. And so my father left, and so my younger siblings and I had to stay with my mom. And I had no idea if I was even processing it. And so, but even though my father wasn't present, there was always a man who was. And so these men couldn't replace my father, and I'm sure you guys know that. They couldn't replace my father, but they showed me what it meant to live a responsible and purposeful life. Okay? And so I wonder who I'd be without them. Would I have been suspended? 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade? Would I have dropped out of college? Would I have understood that dating is for marriage? Would I know that there is a creator who loves me? And so Urban Ventures kind of became a third home for me after school and family. I started going when I was 7 years old, back when the Colin Powell Center was even built. And in 2nd grade, I spent most school years and summers here as a student. And I spent some time with the after-school program and the tutoring there at the Learning Lab, and I also played soccer at the Kicks Field. And so in elementary school, I attended Learning Lab for homework help, though I hardly even wanted to do homework, if I'm being completely honest. But they fed us after school and gave us breakfast during our summer programs. And that's probably why I like Honey Nut Cheerios a lot. But middle school changed everything. There I met my first mentor, and his name was Marquise Dixon, a recent college graduate from Crown College here in Minnesota. And he was here at the after-school program at Urban Ventures. At the time, it was called Powerhouse. And so I also made lifelong friends here. One of those lifelong friends, his name was actually Darren Smelton. And in middle school, we had the privilege of conquering the Brown Waters together. But I always won't remember that experience when I portaged the canoe for the first time as a middle school student. I remember I was completely silent for the rest of that day. Like, that's how depressing it was. Like, it was so hard. I had never had to portage a canoe ever in my life, but I did it. I did it. That was the important thing. But looking back, Darren and I have been friends for about a decade now, and I'm glad to say that he's actually going to be getting married soon, and I will be attending his wedding. But being connected to UV also meant learning about a scholarship that allowed me to attend North Central University here downtown in Minneapolis to receive my undergraduate degree with little to no debt. But more than that, I had Urban Ventures cohort supporting me along the way, including Marquise, my first mentor, and with the support of Urban Ventures, I graduated college, got my degree, and I continued to build the life I wanted. But as you know, life stays complicated. And so a couple years ago, I was struggling with reconciling multiple roles in my life. And so I had been dating this gal for about 2 years and 4 months now. And I was back in school getting a master's degree, actually, back at North Central University. And I was, looking ahead, trying to figure out, how do I reconcile being a hard worker, a business owner, in the future a husband, being a father, and all these multiple roles, and also being a person who, loves to, give back to the community. And so I wasn't sure if I had what it took to be who I wanted to be. And so, but fortunately, you guys may know this, but mentorship is something that you never grow out of, okay? And so I texted Marquise, who had moved out to Washington to become a CEO. And I asked him, how did you balance it all? How could you fit all of that and hold the responsibility of being a CEO, a father, a husband, and all these responsibilities? And his response was humble. He shared he's still figuring it out too. And so priorities change with seasons. You don't just figure it out once. Then he dropped this. Being CEO wasn't his biggest responsibility. Mentoring me in 7th grade was. 7th grade, the year my parents divorced, that year everything could have gone wrong. My trajectory could have derailed. Many kids don't recover from that. I think about young men without mentorship, the gap in their understanding and the purpose in their direction. Mentorship matters. And for me, the best example of a mentor is Jesus. Imagine God taking on flesh to show you how to see and operate within the world in which he created. Now, I'm not sure if Jesus taught his disciples how to craft a resume or whether it's important to floss before you brush your teeth or after you brush your teeth. But he showed them his hands and his feet as a testament to this great love that he had for them, and he cared for them. And so I try to follow this example, just like my mentors did. And so now it's my turn, and now I'm volunteering with Urban Ventures. And I've been mentoring 2 boys for about 3 years now. One's a sophomore, the other is a senior. And let me brag for a minute about my senior mentee. He just won the state championship for his soccer team at the Academy of Holy Angels. But I hope 10 years from now that he will, be able to share his story too at Urban Ventures. Or maybe he might be in Europe playing professionally, who knows. But from a learning lab in 2nd grade to the Act 6 scholarship after high school, Urban Ventures shaped who I am. And I'm where I am today because of Urban Ventures and the community surrounding it. So thank you guys for all your continued support here at Urban Ventures. Thank you so much.